Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon and this is Behind the Enthusiast. Today, well, this is going to be an interesting video, and that is because I'm going to be, well, trying to explain this. Yeah. Broken. Metacarpal number 2. 1, 2. Second one in there. Left hand is sprained, a bit of a combination wrist, pointer finger, and thumb. So definitely do not have a fully functioning left hand at the moment. And my right hand, even though I have a little bit of movement on my thumb, not enough room here for me to even stick my phone in there to be texting anybody. So I'm literally doing everything with my left hand. Eating everything has been quite the struggle. Getting dressed, brushing my teeth, showering. I actually just had a shower and I have to keep this dry as well. So I have to put on an old sock to suck up any of the moisture that might get inside of the bag that I actually put over. So it's just a grueling process. This went on Thursday, and right now we're on Sunday recording this video anyway, and I have 6 weeks, and I have to go back every 2 weeks to, I think, get this changed out. I think they're going to do x-rays again in 2 weeks, put a new one on, and then repeat the process twice, I believe. And just so you guys know, this is my third one. So I had a temporary one that they put on in the emergency. So I literally was in emerge from, I think, 11:30. Yeah, 11:30 to about 3:30 in the morning. It was about 4 hours. So they put a two-piece one on, so it was on the front and the back, and then they bound it together. That was relatively comfortable. When I went to the hospital about a week later, they put on a splint, which was just the back only. And again, they wrapped it around and my fingers were all covered up in that one as well. Thankfully, my fingertips are finally free. My pinky kind of got covered up there a little bit, but my hand has been through torture. I mean, the pain kind of comes and goes and bounces all over the place. But today, I really want to dive into explaining to you guys what happened. Everyone is asking me, even when I'm just out in public, I've been asked, what happened, or, how long do you have to wear it for? So again, 6 weeks as of, well, recording this video anyway, minus about 3 or 4 days. However, that is provided everything goes well. I still also have physiotherapy, that whole rehabilitation timeline, which depending on how this goes, depending on how well my body is able to recover from this injury, potentially up to a year, which I definitely don't think it's going to take me up to a year to recover, because I have a race season to prep for. So, as of recording this video, again, because my videos are posted, they're scheduled. So we're looking at, let's say, 5 months, maybe. I have about 5 months, let's say 5 or 6 months, to prepare this hand and the rest of my body for the race season, for flat track racing. However, a bunch of you are going to be very surprised to know that this is not the product of flat track racing. This is the product of dirt racing. I was actually in an enduro, 75 lap enduro, and I got taken out. The crash that took this hand and broken on me was lap 8. and I lasted for another 2 laps before someone spun out in front of me, and I got tangled up with someone else and ended up rear-ending them, unfortunately. And there is a bit of a time gap in that race. I'm not entirely sure how long. I will try to figure that out for you guys and maybe put it on the screen of how long. But basically, we're going to go through all the videos. I have drone footage. It's actually Joe Overton. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but he has a YouTube channel. I've posted all of his race videos, all of his links for you guys to watch the entire videos if you want to, but I'm just going to show you guys about 5 or 10-second clips from his videos of me crashing or getting, bashed about, and basically see, I think, upwards of 6 incidents in total. The first one broke my hand. The second one, I don't really remember. So basically, I remember feeling the pain in my hand and then getting back into the race. I don't remember the second crash, but I do remember getting off the track. So things are a little bit fuzzy. People were asking me if I had a concussion. There was some whiplash, so my neck was really sore. It seems to be fine right now, but I think the whiplash contributed to a concussion that kind of took away, I would say, probably a good 2 minutes, if I had to guess. But I will look into that later to see if there is an exact amount of time missing from my memory, but I would say probably about 2 minutes worth, approximately. So the first race, like I said, 8 laps in, I'm cruising. I'm doing really, really well based on GoPro footage of some other race cars, in the Enduro. I was, let's be honest, if I'm just going by that and where they started and where they were in the race, I would say I was in the top 10. I know that might be hard for some of you to believe. It was, even for me, it was kind of a surprise. My first Enduro, my first ever dirt track race, first time ever racing a car, and, to actually see the proof, to be looking at where they were on the racetrack, where they started, looking at all the footage, and knowing 100% I was in the top 10, even if I'm off by a couple of positions, top 15. That is absolutely amazing for my first time out. However, this is definitely not amazing. So that crash, unfortunately, I was having a great time, being very respectful of everybody else. My buddy Tony was behind me. He saw the crash. Now, in the heat of the moment, you got all this adrenaline, pumping through your veins and everything else. And the way it was described to me, it sounded really, really bad. It was almost like the guy just completely spun me around. Now, based on the footage, there was not much contact. It's really hard to tell because of the angle of the drone, where it was on the racetrack. But it was probably pretty mild in the grand scheme of things, because I watched it over and over and over again. I'm going to show you guys the real-time footage of it so you guys can see it just as it happens, and then I'm also going to slow it down really, really slow as well in the car as well, just so you guys can see where my hand actually traveled. But very minimal contact by this other race car, but it was just enough to upset the car, because as he pulls in behind me and then tries to move over not to make contact, clearly contact was made. There is proof on my bumper of where he did hit. It sends my car literally straight to the left. There is no nice sweeping, corner in turn one. it is just so sudden. The car goes completely to the left. It's almost as if someone just grabbed the wheel on me. And because there was a guy to my inside, I ended up basically pit maneuvering myself on his car, head first into the guardrail. Front bumper is destroyed. The whole front of the car is done, more or less. And I don't remember the point of impact. I remember someone hitting me because, well, let's put it this way. I have video footage of me talking about it. So obviously I know someone hit me at some point throughout the day. However, in terms of me sitting here and being completely honest with you guys, I don't remember the crash. I don't remember impacting. I don't remember my hand shooting forward, punching the dash maybe. I'm not entirely sure. And then my hand, because my camera was on my arm, looks like my hand goes forward and then to the left towards the door card, and then it comes back to its original resting place. And then you guys can see that my wrist is kind of limp, and eventually I'm moving around in the car, and eventually I reach for my hand because the pain sets in. And honestly, my memory starts again there, where I'm literally sitting there and going, oh, my hand hurts. My memory, I have that in my memory. Prior to that, actually getting hit or whatever, there's a little bit of a gap, to be completely honest. So I think from that impact, definitely got a concussion of some sort, some level, because I don't really remember the crash. And the next thing I remember is the pain in my hand. I remember the track crew walking over. You guys will see this in the footage of that as well from the drone. And then you will see guys hit me again. This part is a little bit fuzzy. I don't really remember getting hit for the second time in my driver's door. It's a little fuzzy. I think I remember, but maybe not. I've watched the video so many times, maybe I've just convinced myself that I remember. But I do remember the pain in my hand, the track guys walking over and saying, hey, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I remember putting the car into reverse, backing out of there, and then I remember getting back into the race. However, here's the, I'm going to say funny thing about it. However, it's not really funny at all. I remember getting back into the race, but I don't remember that second crash. Now, I'm going to show you guys that second crash so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. And I get banged around a little bit in this one as well, but it wasn't as extreme, or at least I don't think it was. I did rear end somebody, but it wasn't as bad. However, having already had an accident, I think 2 laps prior, I think it was more or less 2 laps prior. So it was the big crash, lap 8, the secondary crash, lap 10. If I already had a concussion and all of a sudden I get into another slight, mild, incident, crash, whatever you want to call it, my brain's probably still a little bit fuzzy, so I don't even remember that either. So there's probably, I would say, a couple of minutes that I don't remember, at least 2 or more laps that I don't remember as well. So basically, I remember pain in my hand, going in reverse and getting back into the race. And then I remember getting off the track. I don't remember anything else. And that is the truth. I do not remember. Really unfortunate. My memory is a little bit hazy on that. However, I remember the rest of the day. I don't think there's really anything that I don't remember. And so continuing on with what happened. I mean, I honestly, the pain was pretty bad, but I thought my finger was dislocated, to be completely honest. So this is how your hand is supposed to be. My middle finger, this is the bone that broke right in there, and it was a spiral fracture. Basically, my bone went like this. However, it turned, it spiraled. I don't know how else to explain that. So the bone in there, that broke. But the thing is, my finger was about there. That's more or less how my finger was. So instead of there, it was there. And I thought, maybe the joint, maybe the bone just popped out of place a little bit. However, the bone popped out of place for a different reason, a really bad reason, and that is because it was actually broke and not just out of its, socket or whatever. So I was at least smart enough not to mess around with it too much. You guys will see in the footage from the other vlog that I was kind of squeezing a little bit. Thankfully, I didn't do too much of that. So I ended up putting my hand on my shoulder for pretty much the rest of the day until I was getting back in the car. I actually had to borrow Andrew's gloves, or one of his gloves anyway, because my gloves, these ones, way too tight. These were fitted, and I want to point something out to you guys. This knuckle portion is a rock. So considering how hard that is, hard as a rock. I'm sure you guys heard that. I have no idea how I broke my hand, considering the bone that broke is that one, and the knuckle protector was right on that. I honestly don't know how it broke, because if I'm punching the dash with that knuckle protector on, you would think that I wouldn't have broken my hand. However, I don't really know how fast I was going. Still haven't figured that out. Maybe my finger got jammed into something else and it was twisting that whole, section of my finger from here all the way down. Maybe this got, twisted so much that it ended up breaking the metacarpal bone. I can't remember, metacarpal or whatever it is. Maybe it put so much strain on this bone and that joint. That's why there was a spiral fracture, because my finger was being twisted by something, maybe by the steering wheel. I don't really know. So still kind of guessing as to how that happened. My left hand, the fact that it's sprained, I mean, that's pretty obvious. I basically death gripped the steering wheel. My seatbelt held me in place. So yeah, that's just from me fighting the wheel. And then of course, I'm sure you guys are wondering, like, all right, so you broke your hand, you got back into the race, 2 laps later, you get taken out again, you finally quit, then you come back for more. Yes, I did, because I'm an idiot. Adrenaline, let's be completely honest here, adrenaline is one heck of a drug. It will make you do crazy things. I have had multiple injuries over the years, ever since, high school, playing soccer. You can play through pretty much anything with adrenaline in your veins. And this was another case of that. I went for another 4 hours, didn't feel any pain in my hand whatsoever after, I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe. I mean, the pain was there immediately when it happened, so I knew there was something wrong. But then the pain eventually went away. It swelled up just a little bit. So I wasn't too concerned about it. I was like, dislocated, whatever. It didn't feel like the bone was, popping out or anything, so that was good. But obviously it was broke. And so I ended up getting back in the car. Andrew was there. He helped me get the car back together, and ended up doing Red Rover. Now, I will show you guys that clip as well. Very, very brief. They were eliminating the last 2 cars across the line. So technically, I made it into round number 2, technically. However, at the very end, you guys will see someone who finished ahead of me. I don't know what he was doing. Honestly, I don't know what he was doing. But he definitely, unfortunately, cut me off, and I bounced off of his car into the guardrail, ruined even more components on the car, down a tire. So then I'm like, okay, great. You know what? I can't do another race. The car's probably done. So I limp it back to the pits again, you know, assess the damage. The rad is leaking like crazy, filling it up with water before every single race. And that was part of how I finished the day, was just filling up the rad with water just so that it wasn't going to overheat on me, which it didn't. So that was great. However, that is now crash number 3. One with the guardrail, rear-ending someone because someone went sideways in front of another car, couldn't escape that one, and then the guardrail again. That's number 3. Now, incident number 4 comes in the backwards race, right at the beginning of the race. I guess you could say I was a little bit slow, and considering I was down a tire, I was, again, flat tire, had a hole punctured into it. I only had 2 spares, and they were done as well. So I had 3 tires with holes probably about that big in them. So that was definitely not a good thing to happen. Obviously, I could have used another one. However, I'm going to try to remember here. The right wheel was the worst. And I think that was probably caused from the second or third crash. One of those 2 really pushed the control arm and a bunch of other items back way too far. The drive axle was actually rubbing on the sway bar, so that side was totally screwed up. The left side, the left front was all right, but the right definitely got mangled. So now we're at incident number 4. Again, backwards race, kind of got tangled up with the guy at the beginning of the race. Pretty mild, all things considered. Basically, I just spun out into the infield. However, someone else had a really hard hit, and apparently he was badly injured. I don't really know the details beyond that. So that was number 4. So continuing on, as I said, 6? Then there were 2 other ones, and that would be the flagpole race. So now we're at race number 4. Now, flagpole race, I got hit in the driver's door. That one was really bad. I saw him coming. I moved out of the way. Thankfully, keeping the door card in there was a smart idea. And so although that didn't really, do anything to me, obviously it was still an incident, still damaged the car quite a bit. And then there was one where I got rear-ended, I think in that same race. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find footage of both of these, but I do remember them. And I remember getting rear-ended quite badly because I got pushed into somebody else. And that other crash in the first race, no one rear-ended me. So my memory is serving me well for the flagpole race. So that is pretty much the extent of all the crashes. I think that's all 6. The Enduro Cross, I did tag the wheel that we were supposed to go around, but that was pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it really did any damage to the car. But the number 1 crash to start things off was what claimed my hand, broke the bone, and then obviously gave me a concussion as well from the whiplash that I got. And then that second crash, I don't really remember it. However, I definitely remember everything else from the other races. I remember all of that. So that is more or less what happened to me. That's kind of the breakdown of how my day went. All right, that was one hell of a hit. Somebody spun me around, and then I got smoked, and my finger hurts right now. So I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. I can move it, but
I think I sprained my finger right now. We're on a red again. Car was smoking, so I don't know how much longer she's gonna last, but hopefully I can just baby her till the end and at least finish the race.
And obviously I've explained, my cast situation as well. So yeah, what does that mean for the future of the channel? Well, to be completely honest, I can't do much. I was really, really looking forward to getting back to the bikes. I was actually supposed to winterize them, go get gas for all of them. I can't even do that. So I have to put gas in all the bikes. I have to winterize them by putting them on battery tenders, put fuel stabilizer in them, and that's pretty much it. Nothing super complicated. I'm not going to be able to do any oil changes or anything, obviously, because I can't ride the bikes. And there's a lot of bikes. So, yeah, really, really puts a damper on the process of creating content for you guys on the channel. Obviously, I can, type on a keyboard with one hand. Pretty simple. I can set up my tripod and the lights and everything else, and put a microphone on me as well. That's a little bit tricky though, and record a video just sitting here for you guys. But that's not super exciting. I know I like doing those videos in January when Harley has their their new models coming out, but sitting here and just talking to you guys, let's be honest, I think a lot of you are probably going to be like, it's not the most exciting thing, and I would totally agree with you guys. Although a lot of you do like my storytelling, which is great. I really appreciate that. I've seen that in the comments. But yeah, this is just really unfortunate. Really sets me back a lot. I mean, 6 weeks. We're basically looking at the week before Christmas for this to come off, and I can't even drive. I have a Ford RS. It's manual, 6-speed. I'm not allowed to use this hand at all. I can scratch my nose, kind of hold the pieces of paper, and that's about it. That's all I can really do. So I'm really relying on physiotherapy to help the sprain in my left hand right now so that I can, obviously continue to work, which I can, thankfully. But there are a lot of things that I can't do. Not driving is so frustrating. As someone who loves to drive, loves cars, loves bikes, loves riding, having that taken away from me by driving a car, racing a car for the first time ever, I mean, it's bittersweet, let's be honest. Checking off something on my bucket list, and being so crazy to already be wanting to do it again next season. I'm already looking forward to doing that, and we'll talk about that in a future video, I'm sure. But I'm not gonna let this hold me back. I'm not gonna let this put me down. Obviously it's a delay, and a lot of us go through that. Athletes, I've been through so much just from playing soccer when I was younger, up and through my 20s, 30s. Pretty much always have had an injury. I would say every year, like something happens, right? I wouldn't say anything major, but some sort of small incident that requires physiotherapy for a little bit, so I'm no stranger to, setbacks and the rebound and the struggle and, overcoming all of these hurdles that are thrown my way. So I'm definitely not deterred in any way, but I am definitely frustrated. I don't know if that is going to come across in any of my videos, because I generally like to be a pretty happy spirited guy, because what are you going to do, right? Like, I'm smiling about it because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, this is shitty. Yeah, this is going to take a while, but I can either sit here and frown and pout and cry and complain about it, or I can kind of laugh it off as a, yeah, that was quite the day, right? So it's all about your attitude about it, and yeah, it's going to be a long road to recovery, or long road of recovery, however you want to word that. But you know, basically, I just got to go through everything and come out hopefully stronger than before. Obviously, if you break a bone, you're more likely to break it again, which is unfortunate. But I'm very, very confident in not only my body, but my physiotherapist, my doctor, all the direction and expertise that is in my life. I think things are going to go really, really well for me in 2025. However, I have to stay the course, focus on the recovery, do it properly, don't mess around with anything, and just get it done, right? So that's my main focus right now. I'm going to try to make some videos for you guys to finish off, November and December, the end of the year, whenever this video is released. And yeah, it is what it is. So hopefully that explains it all for you guys, kind of lets you guys know what I'm doing, where my mind is at, and headstrong, just like this cast. Oh, man. At least it's my favorite color, right? So anyway, I'm sure you guys probably heard enough of me talking about this recovery, but I'm hopefully only going to make one of these videos, so I won't have to torture you guys too much. So if you guys like this video and you appreciate the story and the review of all the things that have occurred to me, definitely smash that like button so I know that it's working. If you guys have any comments, questions, positive comments would be great. Questions about anything, let me know. I will be using my left hand to type all my responses in to you guys. And last but not least, be sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on future content on the channel. There will be a lot more in the future. Just don't know when I'll be getting all of that out. It's a little bit of a struggle right now, but don't worry. I will persevere as usual. So again, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.